right, guys. So your dream YouTube audience already exists, and here's how to find them. So you might be watching this video and you're a YouTuber that already, is getting some views, or you're trying to get some views. Maybe you don't really like where your audience is right now. Or maybe you're just not sure on your niche, or maybe you're a business owner and you're trying to figure out what audience is going to be best to sell your product or service. And I'm here to tell you that your dream YouTube audience already exists, and here's how to find them. And the reason I know how to do this is because I have a successful YouTube channel myself, got over 1 million subscribers. I make, just from AdSense alone, like 70,000 a month, getting over 90,000 a month in subscribers, and several 100,000 a month when you add up all the different income sources. So that is how I know how to explain this. On top of that, I also have a bunch of clients that I've helped get really good success on YouTube as well. So let's talk about exactly how to do this. Now, this is going to be a very, very comprehensive overview. I'm not going to be able to go deep into detail on certain things, but I will go deep into detail on some of the ones that I think are the most important. So these are going to be a bunch of different tools and approaches for finding your audience, aka finding your niche, finding who you can sell stuff to, etc. So let's go ahead and start with the bottom-up approach, which is starting with demand. Now, there's basically going to be two different approaches. There's the top-down approach, which is starting with you, and there's the bottom-up approach, which is starting with demand. And you can really use both approaches. Like, both of them work. I would say the one that's a little bit easier to do is the top-down approach, which is starting with you. However, the one that is probably a little bit better for business is the bottom-up approach, which is starting with demand. So let's talk about how to do this. First of all, you can use ChatGPT for initial brainstorming. Everybody knows, about ChatGPT, but you can ask it, what are the top 10 problems faced by small business owners in 2023? Or let's say your niche is HVAC owners, or your niche is, SMMA, people who want to start an SMMA business. What are the top 10 problems faced by people who want to start an SMMA business in, 2025 or something like that, right? And then for each of these problems, what type of content would these business owners be searching for on YouTube, right? So that's a great way that you could do some initial brainstorming. And this isn't like picking your niche here. This isn't picking your niche. This isn't picking your audience. This is just generating ideas, giving you ideas for keywords and stuff that you could search. You can also ask it, what are top 10, best keywords to search to find this type of person, to generate this type of traffic for this type of audience. Number two, ChatGPT for quick market size estimates. Ask how many small businesses are there in the US, or what's the average annual revenue for a coaching business, or how many people own SMMAs across the world, right? And of course, you always want to fact check these numbers, but generally speaking, you can get some relatively accurate results, right? So you ask how many people own SMMAs versus how many people own e-com businesses, and neither of them might be absolutely perfect when it comes to the results, but it'll show you the difference in the two. And you'll see that, a lot more people own e-com businesses, for instance. Okay, so you could use it for quick market size estimates and just to get a baseline for things. Again, this is not like a perfect science here. We're just getting a baseline. We're just generating ideas at this point. Now, this is an amazing tool, okay? Anvaka for finding related subreddits, okay? Absolutely amazing tool. So if you are not familiar with Anvaka, basically you find a subreddit, and those are the forums that are on Reddit essentially. So you find a subreddit, and then you see what subreddits are related to those subreddits. So basically, if somebody joins, this subreddit, what other subreddits might they be very likely to join? And so you can show the relation of different topics, which is extremely interesting. And this can be incredibly helpful for figuring out what your audience really thinks, for figuring out who your ideal client avatar actually is. Okay, so this is remote jobs, and you can see that work from home is highly related. For hire is highly related. Freelance for hire is highly related. Hire an editor, creator services, starving artists, virtual assistants, et cetera, et cetera. I hate writing services, copywriting, side hustle, MTurk, beer money, assistance. Beer money is actually a really great subreddit. Work from home, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so you can see that it's related to a lot of these different things. Another one you could do is dopamine detox. Okay, so dopamine detox. And you can see what subreddits dopamine detox is related to. So dopamine detox, this is a huge thing. It's still really popping off on YouTube even right now. But it really popped off in the last few years. And you can see that dopamine detox is related to dopamine detoxing, of course. It's also related to pure retention, semen retention, no fap. It's related to dry fasting. It's related to peptides, posture, knees over toes, barefoot running, Peter Attia, home gym, weightlifting, etc. Like you can see all of these things that it's related to. Zero carb, carnivore, OMAD diet, right? This is unbelievably valuable information because you can really figure out, you can get into your audience's mind and figure out like, what are they thinking? What are the other things that they're interested in? And so, you could make a video on dopamine detox if that happens to be close to your niche. You could also make a video on carnivore if that happens to be close to your niche, right? And you're going to get a lot of overlapping audience there. Okay. So Envaca for finding related subreddits and shows visual maps of related subreddits. It's super, super valuable tool, guys. And then just subreddit stats for community growth analysis. So this is basically a website that will kind of show you a bunch of different subreddit stats. Right. So you type in dopamine detox here, and it's just going to give you a lot of really good information. So it's going to give you the subscribers, the rank, post votes, rank, etc. It's going to give you like the top submissions, like the most viewed and most interacted with submissions, which can give you really good ideas for video ideas. And this isn't always completely correct. It's not always like a perfect type of thing, but generally speaking, it'll give you at least an idea of what topics are popular and which ones are doing really well. Okay, so subreddit stats can be really good. Gummy search is another one, and this basically aggregates and analyzes Reddit comments, and it gives insights into exact language that your potential viewers are using. And so, yeah, this is another one where you see people just talking about the same stuff over and over again on certain subreddits. And as you can see here, there's these different topics like influencers, no coders, podcasters, cold emailers, homeowners, et cetera. And you can kind of see the growth per week, kind of how popular it is, how many subs there are. And yeah, just do research on all of these different subs. And they do a lot of work just basically categorizing them for you, which is honestly incredible. And it shows you kind of like, it gives you kind of an estimate of like the market size, at least the market size on Reddit, which does tend to kind of translate a little bit to YouTube. A lot of the time topics will blow up on Reddit before they blow up on YouTube, which is pretty cool. And so this can be a really, really awesome tool as well. I've used it in the past, especially with certain clients. And it can, again, just give you really good ideas for products to launch as well as niches to go into. Another one is Amazon books for market demand assessment. So basically you just type in like some of your biggest keywords that are related to your niche, and you just look at the best-selling books and see that it's a great indicator of market demand. So you look at like the titles, descriptions, reviews, etc. And this, if obviously, someone might spend like $5 on a book, but if, a book has 10,000 reviews and it has like pretty high star ratings and like 10,000 reviews, chances are like 100,000 people bought the book. So, at $5 each, that's $500,000. I mean, that's pretty good money right there. So even if it's just $5, also keep in mind that, books are incredible ways to upsell people to higher ticket products like programs, in-person events, etc. And so they're one of the best ways to do that, which is why so many people actually write books, even though they don't make that much money from the book itself. Um, yeah, this can be a great indicator of market demand. I mean, if you see like dozens and dozens of books that have, tons and tons of reviews, thousands and thousands of reviews, chances are that's a great market to go into. Whereas if you go on Amazon and there's 0 books and none of them have any reviews, that's going to be a really tough market to go into. Generally speaking, saturation, quote unquote, is really not such a bad thing, because like that just means that there's a ton of demand, right? So that's another great way to make sure that people are actually willing to buy stuff. That's another thing, is sometimes people are willing to watch free content, but when it comes to actually buying something on the subject, they're actually not willing to do that. And if they're spending money on a book, that's a good sign. Okay. Same thing with Udemy courses. So this is a really cool website where you can basically look up Udemy courses. So I'll just go ahead and bring this here. And you can see which courses are doing the best. So this is where you can do actual research on which courses and just see like, okay, this has 43,000 ratings. That means probably about 430,000 people took the course. And I'm traveling right now, so this is in a different currency, but that's like, I don't know, $50-$60. So you can do the math there. I mean, that is a absolute wild amount of money to be making. And that's just in the last few years. I mean, this is a Chat GPT course. So you can go on here and see if there is any demand for what you're selling there as well. Because chances are, if there's a course that did extremely well here, it will also sell well, or something that is related, like a related product, will sell well off of here too. So Udemy can be an amazing place to do research and see if people are actually willing to buy, and pay attention to the student numbers, reviews, and feedback, etc. Then you got Fiverr and Upwork. Now this one is a little bit more sort of agency or service related, but it can also be used for info products. But you basically browse gigs and job postings in your niche. And again, if you see certain gigs that just have endless amounts of buyers, there's a very good chance that, there's a market there for people to, solve that problem either with, an agency or a service, or maybe even like an info product that takes care of it, so that they don't have to, pay somebody to do it. It's just an info product that takes care of it instead, right? And again, this is a really good place to do research and get ideas for, just look where the money is flowing, guys. Look where the money is flowing. If you see gigs on Fiverr that have thousands and thousands of reviews, if you see people on Upwork that have done millions and millions of dollars, that's a good sign. Look where the money is flowing. And this is especially good for smaller markets, because chances are services are a little bit easier to sell in smaller markets, like more emerging markets. And so if it's not available on a lot of the other sites, then there's a good chance you'll see it on something like Fiverr, right? Then you got Google Trends. It shows how interest in topics change over time, and you can use it to identify seasonal trends, spot rising topics, compare interest between related topics. And you would be surprised. You might, see like 2 different keywords and you think, oh, these keywords are probably exactly the same. They'll get exactly the same amount of traffic. And it turns out that one keyword literally has like 20 times more traffic. And you can see that very, very quickly. And it's totally free to see it as well with Google Trends. So Google Trends is great. And it's also really good for seeing the direction that things are going. That's probably one of my favorite ways to use Google Trends, is not to see, how much volume it has, which is great. I love seeing the volume, but the direction that it's going. Is it trending up or is it trending down? That's a great thing to see. Now, one tool that is kind of similar to Google Trends is Glimpse. And this is basically how you can see like the absolute search volume. Because Google Trends itself doesn't show you the real search volume. But this tool, Glimpse, will actually guesstimate what the actual search volume is, right? Because Google Trends will just show you like 0 to 100, how much search traffic is the thing getting. But Glimpse will actually guesstimate And they're pretty relatively accurate how much real search volume there is. So they'll show you like 38 million searches past month, which is super useful. And then GigaBrain for Reddit post analysis is another Reddit tool. And basically, it just scans billions of discussions on Reddit and other online communities to find the most useful posts and comments for you. So this can be really good when it comes to making your content as well and seeing what posts are resonating with people the most and what posts really got people's attention and people thought were really valuable. Okay, so that can be an incredible tool as well for content creation as well as niche selection. Then you've got meta ads library. So you can look at what successful companies in your niche are advertising. So if you see a company that is doing a ton of advertising, they're consistently advertising a particular product, and you know that they're spending a ton of money on it. You know that they have to be making money with that product. They're not just burning their money, right? They have to be making money with that product. There's no way they're just like throwing money away by spending thousands and thousands of dollars on ads every day. So that could be another way to basically confirm that whatever you're trying to sell in your niche is actually making money. So you go to the meta ads library, you type in keywords related to your niche, and you'll be able to see the ones that pop up. If it looks like they're spending a lot of money on those ads, that's a really good sign. And then you can kind of funnel hack them and see who they're, kind of try to guess who their avatar is, what their angles are, how much they're selling, what's their price point, and all that valuable information. Then you've got number 13, which is EXA for content-based search. So this one is really interesting, and it basically doesn't show what people are searching for, but why people are searching for it, which I personally think is extremely interesting. And hottest AI startups, that's the example that they give here. And yeah, it's just another way to kind of see those connections. It's very similar to the Reddit thing, and the connections that you didn't even realize happen can pop up. And the Reddit thing and this one it's a really good way to kind of understand the psychographics, right? The psychographics, not just like what is easy to see on the outside. Like, okay, is your niche or your client avatar, are they males? Are they 30 years old? Are they in the United States? Are they Caucasian, right? Are they Asian? Are they Black, right? But you can see much deeper than that, because those are just things that you can see on the outside, the demographics. The psychographics is much deeper than that. Do they like the carnivore diet? Are they the types of people who like to travel, or are they homebodies? Are they introverted? Are they extroverted? These are the types of things you can learn about your target demographic by using these types of tools. And then Perplexity for market statistics. I love Perplexity because it updates in lifetime. And I do have a paid account with them, but this is just the free version right here. And yeah, you can just, it's kind of like a search engine where you can just ask it anything. And it'll search basically all of a bunch of different search engines and try to give you the right answer. And it'll actually link. That's the thing I love about Perplexity, is it links where it got the information from. And so you can really vet the information, because most AI doesn't do that. It'll just like give you some information. You just have to trust it. Perplexity will actually link where it got the information from, which is really awesome. And it's unbelievably useful for doing research. So you can ask it for different market statistics. And of course, it's not always going to give you the perfect market statistics, if they aren't available. But at the very least, it'll link where it came from, which is awesome. Okay, so doing all of these is kind of like a bottom-up approach, which is starting with demand. You figure out where the demand is, and then you decide if you are going to make that course or make that product or start that channel, etc. The top-down approach is, in my opinion, a lot easier, and it's probably better for most people to start this way. So let's talk about the top-down approach. You start with self-reflection, which is starting with yourself. What are you genuinely passionate about? What do you know better than most people? What have you spent a ridiculous amount of time doing, right? And a great way to understand like what you're passionate about and what do you know a lot about is watch your YouTube search history. Like look at your YouTube search history, right? That's an amazing way to figure out like what you know and what you're passionate about. Because the YouTube search history doesn't lie. If you're watching a bunch of videos in the YouTube search history, and like 80% of the videos you watch are in a particular niche, that's a good sign that you might want to go into that niche or something similar to that niche. And you could even look back at your younger version of yourself and see what, searching habits you had as well. And that goes into the next point, which is solve problems for the past version of yourself. So think back to when you were struggling. What information would have been life-changing for you back then? What information were you constantly looking up back then? And yeah, just solve problems for the past version of yourself. Doing this makes everything so much easier because your client avatar is the younger version of yourself, you from 2 or 3 years ago. When you write, you're writing to you from 2 to 3 years ago. And you're basically like, pretend like you had a time machine and you could go 3 years back and then tell yourself something incredibly important. What would you tell yourself? That is the mindset you want to have here. And you end up making absolutely killer content when you do this. Okay. And that's one of my secrets for, by the way, how I make content on this channel and other channels. And then list your problems, skills, and experiences. So the way I like to call this is I like to say you're basically taking an inventory. Okay. An inventory on yourself. What are the current assets that you have? Right. So the problems that you've overcome, skills that you have, experiences that you've had. Take out a piece of paper, draw the 3 columns, list all the significant problems you faced in your life or career, list all the skills you've developed, and list all the unique experiences that you've had. And then start connecting the dots, right? One thing that's really relatable to people, and this is something a lot of people don't understand, they're like, I'll just give you an example. There's one client I had, it was so funny. He runs a multiple $1,000,000 a year Amazon FBA business. And he was coming to me and he was like, oh, I think I'm going to start a niche on financing businesses or stuff, something like that. And I'm like, okay, how many times have you financed businesses? And he's like, oh, it's just one time for my business. And I'm like, okay, well, you're not very experienced with that. And he didn't even tell me that he had a multi-million-dollar Amazon FBA business. So I was like, what business do you have? And he's like, oh, well, I sell on Amazon FBA. So I make a couple $1,000,000 a year. I'm like, well, why don't you teach people how to do that? Or you should teach something related to Amazon FBA, right? And people get so blind to this stuff because of this thing called the Dunning-Kruger effect, okay? Dunning-Kruger effect. So basically what this is people who don't know anything, right? So this is knowledge right here. On this axis is knowledge. And then this axis right here is confidence. Okay. People who don't know anything have super high confidence, right? And then people who know a little bit have terrible confidence. And then as you get more and more skilled, you eventually get up to that high level where you actually have even more confidence than people who know nothing. But this is the Dunning-Kruger effect. So people who actually know quite a bit, like someone who's right here, might think that they actually aren't that good, because they've been humbled, right? They know that there's people that are up here. But the thing is you still know more than like 99% of people in the world. And the people who don't know much about something, like, in this case, the client didn't know that much about financing. They felt like they knew a lot about financing, but it's just not logical. And then they didn't feel like they knew a lot about Amazon FBA, even though they actually did. They did know a lot, right? So list your problems, skills, and experience, and then start connecting the dots. And look at what competitors are selling. So look at successful creators in your niche. What are they selling? Right? This is another way of doing it, right? Okay, somebody in the niche that's making very similar content to you, what are they selling? What are they successfully selling? And then solve problems for the past version of yourself. So find the intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. This is known as Ikigai. Okay? And Ikigai is really an amazing concept. There's actually a book that was written about it, and it's too much to go over in this video. But this is something, it's basically, 4 circles that intersect. I'm going to draw some very terrible circles here. That's bad. But basically right here is where all 4 circles intersect, or at least they should have. That is your Ikigai right there. That's where all 4 circles intersect. And ideally, you want to try to aim for that. If you can't hit it, that's okay. Don't freak out. It's not the end of the world. But ideally, you want to intersect Have something that you love doing, something that you're good at, something the world needs, and something that you can be paid for, right? If you can find all four of those things, or even 3 out of 4, you're probably going to live a very, very good life, right? And you're going to be very fulfilled, and you're going to be happy for a long time. Okay, so I'd say most people, this is the easiest approach. Okay, top down, starting with you. That's the easiest approach to go at. I actually recommend doing both approaches and then meeting in the middle, right? Try to do both approaches. And then eventually, in the process of researching this, you're going to stumble upon something that just makes a lot of sense. It just like there's all these little boxes you have to check, right? All these little boxes you have to check, and it just checks every single box, right? And you're eventually going to find that. Right, you're going to find that thing that you have experience with, the thing that you love, the thing that the world needs, and the thing that you can get paid for while doing all of this research. And bringing it all together, self-reflection. Start with the top-down approach. Make those lists of your problem, skills, experience. Then do some market research. This is more of the bottom-up approach, and then validation. Right, look at don't just see like, okay, people are talking about this topic. It's getting views. Right? There are some topics that get views, but they don't actually make sales. Okay. So validation is making sure that you can actually make money from it, right? Because there's some things, going back to Ikigai, there's some things that the world needs, but you can't be paid for it, which is why there's both of these things. Okay. So there's some things that get views, but you can't make money with it for whatever reason. Right. And that's very important that you validate it. And then trend analysis. You use trend analysis to figure things out, and then go for content planning. So prioritize topics that you're genuinely passionate and knowledgeable about. Try those topics first. See if it resonates with your audience, and that's another step is just simply making the content and seeing if it resonates, right? Because you might think, oh, I'd love to talk about this, but then you make a few videos and you're just like, damn, I'm bored. I don't want to talk about this anymore. This sucks, right? But when you start making content, it'll all become clear. And this is a process where it doesn't really, end, right? This is a process that even I go through to this day. It's a never ending process because the market never stops evolving and you never stop evolving. So the market never stops evolving. You never stop evolving. So why would your business stop evolving? Of course, it's going to keep evolving. And so, this is how it's done, guys. Obviously, for my clients that I work with, there's a little bit more of a systemized process to this. But in a 20, 30-minute video, I'm not going to be able to go over that entire process. But with that being said, this will get you started. Start using these tools. These tools are great for doing research, and that'll get you really, really far. And if you want to work with me, or if you are interested in growing a YouTube channel, if you're, I teach YouTube for busy business owners. And if you are interested in growing a YouTube channel, I have helped about 5 to 7 people get to 8 figures a year. I've helped about 17 people get to 7 figures a year. And I myself make a multiple 6 figures a month on my YouTube channel. And I have a 45-minute strategy session that you can book down in the description and the pinned comment below. Click down there. And in this strategy session, we will go over basically like a diagnosis session to see what problems you're having in your business. 2, a fit section to see if we are a good fit to actually help you solve those problems. 3, a goal section to see what you want to do. So where you want to go, right? And clarify that. 4, a plan to help you get there. And then 5, we'll see if we are going to be able to work together. Okay. So that is kind of the 5 steps that every single consultation will go through. And people absolutely rave about these consultations. These things are like probably the most valuable 45 minutes you're going to have in your business this year, especially if you're going to start on YouTube. So you definitely don't want to miss out on it. So book a call down in the description in the pinned comment below. And also check out my other videos that I made on how to grow and make money on YouTube.